What's up, KSR YouTube? Today we are talking about one of my favorite additions to the 2025-26 Kentucky basketball roster, and that, of course, is Lexington's own Jasper Johnson. Before we get into this breakdown, real quick, can you guys just hit that subscribe button right there? We're so close to 50,000 subscribers. If we don't get to 50,000 in like a week, I don't even know if they'll keep me on it on 3. So please hit that subscribe button, and let's get to 50,000 like tomorrow. Now, for the breakdown, Jasper Johnson comes to Kentucky out of the Overtime Elite Academy, similar to Rob Dillingham. While at Overtime Elite last season, Jasper Johnson averaged 20.3 points per game. He averaged nearly 6 assists and nearly 6 rebounds and 1.8 steals. Now, my guys Brandon Ramsey and Zack Geoghegan broke down Jasper Johnson's game in a recent episode of Zoom Action. You can see that right here on the KSR YouTube channel. And Brandon had an interesting take on Jasper's game.
He takes so many tough shots, and I always equated it to like gymnastics, where he plays basketball at like a 10.0 degree of difficulty at times, where it's like, you know, he goes into it with a really high score, and then, you know, maybe he messes up here and there, and his score gets brought back down. It's like, man, Jasper, if you go in with like an 8.0 difficulty, maybe you would be able to raise your score instead of watching it go down.
Now, I am not afraid to say Brandon Ramsey knows a lot more about basketball than I do. I'm fully willing to admit that. However, I have seen Jasper Johnson play 3 times. And all 3 times, that kid has done nothing but impress me. Whether it was an Overtime Elite practice with a scrimmage or an actual game or some type of charity event, this kid has shown up and put on a show every single time. So I think Kentucky has themselves a pure scorer. And it's not just me saying that. Listen to what Mo Diabate had to say about Jasper Johnson's game.
Who's turning heads in practice that maybe you weren't expecting, or, you know, doing something different than you maybe expected when you got here?
I'm gonna say from the first week, Jasper. He was pretty impressive in practice. Like, I see his highlights and stuff on Instagram and stuff, but when I got to see him play, he actually impressed me a lot.
Mo Diabate is a guy who's played on an Elite 8 team, a Final 4 team. He knows good basketball, and he's pointing out Jasper as someone who has impressed him. And Brandon does say there is a scenario where Jasper is one of the best players on this year's team.
The dude is incredibly talented. I also think there's a legitimate world where he's an NBA draft pick next year, because he comes in and averages 12 points a game, shoots 40% from 3. And it's like, man, we can't take this guy off the court because he can just flat out score and shoot the basketball. So that's why, like, I really don't think I'm a hater, because I think that, you know, I genuinely believe that the chances of him being the 27th pick in the NBA draft next year, I think those are just as likely as him playing 6 minutes a game.
In that show, Zach made a great point. He said that because they'd seen him play so many times. Remember, I've only seen him play 3 times. He's looked amazing every single time. Zach and Brandon have seen him play over a dozen times. So maybe when you start to see somebody who's that good so many times, you actually just start to look for the flaws.
Sometimes you get to the point where you see a guy so many times that you just, at least in my perspective, I'm start to maybe overthink things that you shouldn't.
No doubt.
So I do think that, yes, like you said, like, the guy can score the basketball. It's kind of amazing, like, how he does it. He will shoot 30-footers. Like, he's going to come to Kentucky and shoot 30-footers with guys, like, pretty close in his airspace, because they know he can shoot. He's going to make a bunch. He's probably going to miss a lot more of them. But you're talking about, like, he takes bad shots. That's not just limited to the three-point line as well. Like, he will get into the lane and take tough shots. Part of that, he's just so damn long that it can be tough to just block his shot. So even if he's doing like an upsy-do type thing where he spins and flips the ball up into the air, like, it's still going to have a chance to go in, just because they're really tough shots to block. We'll see how that actually translates to the college level.
You have to think Jasper provides some gravity that Mark Pope likes to talk about out on the floor. Teams are going to have to come out and guard him because he can flat out fill it up. And as for those tough shots that Brandon and Zach mentioned, hopefully he won't have to take so many. Hopefully he's getting open looks because Kentucky has so many scorers on the floor.
I easily see a world where Jasper Johnson's awesome and just comes in and, like, maybe even steals a starting spot or something like that.
I think there's a scenario where maybe if he doesn't steal a starting spot, he steals a finishing spot. I think you're going to have a hard time keeping Jasper off the floor. Mark Pope says in his system, guys take a huge jump in year 2. So if there's any reason to pause, it might just be because Jasper needs to get acclimated to the offense, get used to some of the sets, some of the actions that Mark Pope and his staff want the team to run. But as soon as he figures that part out, he has all of the skill sets needed to be a lights out scorer. The only thing I think people are going to have some questions about coming in is going to be defense. But that's up to Jasper to prove those doubters wrong, which I firmly believe that he will. He has the length to be a good defender, and I think we're going to see that at some point.
But I will say is if Jasper Johnson can be the guy early on, like a potential first round pick, like he's playing like he's the borderline 5-star that he's ranked, Kentucky's there. That's when you can up your dreams a little bit because of how just purely talented he is. Like he's 6'4", probably with a 6'8", 6'9" wingspan. Like he's super athletic. The athleticism is actually kind of like catches you off guard sometimes, like just right there with that block.
And again, I can't help but agree with Zach on that. If Jasper Johnson pans out like I think he will, Kentucky is going to be very good, and he could play a major role on a Final Four team. If Jasper's as good as I think he will be, I think Kentucky fans can start to really dream about what next season might look like. This team has so much depth, and if they have a freshman who can be a superstar, look out. We will see you guys next time on another player breakdown. And once again, please hit that subscribe button. Help me out. Help us get to 50,000 subscribers. Why don't we do it like next week? Let's plan on that. Next week, 50,000 subscribers. We'll be back for another one of these next week as well. We will see you then. Thanks for watching.